This morning, Daily Mail White House correspondent Francesca Chambers, NBC News intelligence and national security reporter Ken Delanian, Democratic strategist Emily Tisch Sussman, and MSNBC legal analyst Danny Savalas. Am I assuming that you're not Game of Thrones fans? Nobody saw the brand?
No.
Oh, man. Bran just stares there in his wheelchair. Somebody buy him a ramp already. All right.
I don't get a lot of time covering this president to watch Game of Thrones.
Well, that's true. Luckily, the president gets a lot of time to watch Game of Thrones. Just stares there in his wheelchair. Somebody buy him a ramp already. All right.
I don't get a lot of time covering this president to watch Game of Thrones.
Well, that's true. Luckily, the president gets a lot of time to watch Game of Thrones.
Not cluttering his time.
Executive time. All right.
That's what he's really doing.
We do start this morning by diving right into more revelations, of course, revealed by Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. For more than a year, the president refused to be interviewed by the Office of Special Counsel and, in the end, agreed to respond to questions only in writing. Okay, so we're learning now that Trump told prosecutors 36 times that he had no memory of what they were asking, responding to questions with, "I do not recall," "I have no independent recollection," "I have no current recollection." It's funny because I thought that Trump is always saying he has the greatest memory of all time.
I have a good memory and all that stuff, like a great memory. I have a really good memory.
I have a good memory, like a great memory.
I have a great memory. I'm blessed with a great memory.
One of the great memories of all time.
It makes more sense when you actually point to it. It helps you realize that you have a great memory. But it seems the president's memory fails him whenever he finds himself in legal limbo.
Do you remember anything else he told you about the lease?
No, not at all.
Did you have conversations with Ivanka?
No, not that I remember.
Did you read and approve that statement before it was issued?
I probably did, but I don't remember, but I probably did.
Well, that was from 2016. One of Trump's private lawyers defended his client's written answers to Mueller, saying they are answers, not speculations. My panel is here with me. As I mentioned, Danny, are these actually answers that, to Mueller's questions?
As a criminal defense attorney, Trump is echoing a well-known chestnut in the criminal defense community, which is it's better to not know stuff than it is to know stuff. Okay. And in this case, Trump knows the rules. He doesn't remember stuff because it's better for him if he doesn't. Now, in fairness, also, when you're asked questions of such import as Trump was being asked by the Mueller team, you better know for sure if you're giving an affirmative answer, a clear answer. No guessing, no assuming, or else you may find yourself on the hook. Trump had attorneys all over him when he was answering these questions, and you can see that in the answers. They don't even sound anything like what Trump would actually say.
But he got it well-oiled and well down pat there with the do not recall. Ken, do you think if you actually sat down for a one-on-one with Mueller, the results of this investigation would have been any different?
There's a great chance. I mean, this shows the inadequacy of not having a one-on-one interview with the president. First of all, he refused to answer any questions about obstruction of justice. And one of the big questions that Mueller could not resolve is whether Trump had criminal intent. And how would you find that out? Well, one way is you would ask the president what was in his mind. Also, by not sitting down for a one-on-one, Mueller could not confront the president with evidence that might refresh his recollection. Look, this is a huge victory for the president's defense lawyers. They're very happy about this outcome, and it's a big question that lingers over the Mueller investigation because he said in his report that he felt he had the legal authority to subpoena the president before the grand jury. He decided not to do it because he was worried about the delay that it would pose to the investigation. Some people think the delay would have been worth it. Mueller went in a different direction.
And as we mentioned, it is a well-oiled defense for the president, Francesca. You know, the Washington Post writes that there were 35 times that the president said that he didn't remember something during a deposition in the Trump University lawsuit back in December 2015. He was just citizen Trump at the time. So what does kind of Trent tell us about his character?
Well, I agree with what you're saying, which is that if he had said something in the affirmative and it turned out to be wrong, that would have been very problematic for the president. But one thing that he did recall saying in response to what you were saying before was that he wrote those answers himself. He said that. He said, I didn't do this with the help of my lawyers. I sat down and banged it out in about an hour, or something to that effect was what he had said before. So it did speak very legalese when you read it, and it's very clear that he had the help of his attorneys to answer those questions. And Rudy Giuliani said so many times times that they were guiding him on answering those questions and why they didn't want him sitting down with Mueller. And it's because they were concerned that they would ask questions and he would say something that was maybe inflated or not exactly quite right. And then that is where they would get him in what Giuliani called the perjury trap.
So it's very easy to write your answers when all of the answers are, I do not recall, currently 35 times. Sort of like selective memory. What do you make of this?
Yeah, the fact that Mueller did not actually submit him is still quite shocking to me. I do think a piece of this leads to like the palace intrigue, and that becomes a little bit of a problem, right? Like we're a little bit obsessed with how Trump can just totally defy the truth. I mean, I am obsessed. Like it's shocking how he can just say one thing and then say a different thing. And the fact that he cannot recall on moments that should allegedly feel pretty important in his presidency, and yet he has no memory of any of these. It does make you wonder how much memory is actually of value to him, but it does lead a little bit to the palace intrigue of how can he actually operate. And we dig into the report and we kind of like love the details of it, and I worry that it can actually get us off track of the fact that this is actually a roadmap of could potentially be a referral to Congress for Congress to take it up in the in further hearings and potentially lead to impeachment. So I do think we have to be clear on moving that piece forward. Whether or not it leads to impeachment, at least the thought process of moving it forward.
But that said, Danny, I mean, you're a defense attorney, you're an attorney. What would you make of a client who claims constantly that I have the greatest memory of all time and then suddenly forgets everything?
You mean every client in the history of criminal defense? Yeah.
Any good client is what you're saying.
It happens fairly often that people don't remember things that it seems like they probably should remember. And candidly, in defense of criminal defense attorneys, I would have advised Donald Trump to avoid sitting down in any way, shape, or form with the special counsel. But that's a different inquiry as to whether or not President Trump, as the leader of the free world and the duly elected president, had a moral obligation to sit down with the special counsel. And candidly, in most cases, when somebody is a target or a subject of an investigation, they are not going to sit down with federal investigators. But I am astounded at the tales of how the president basically told the Department of Justice, basically told the special counsel's office, go ahead and subpoena me.
Right.
And the special counsel's office says, we decided to back down. Ask any criminal defense attorney if the DOJ ever backs down on a dare like that.
Why didn't they push to get an interview?